Hello everyone, welcome to my session on unlocking the future virtual computers in WebXR with Wonderland Engine. Today we are going to be deep diving more into different virtual computer streaming services and some multiplayer services and how they all tie up in the context of WebXR. So in the end of the session you will be able to make yourself an WebXR application in which you can embed virtual computers. So my name is Nitin Steven and I currently work as Solutions Architect at Wonderland Engine. But although I don't represent Wonderland Engine for this presentation though, and my daytime job is I develop in JavaScript or TypeScript, and I do develop some components for the community, and in the side I also do some community management. In my free time I do make WebXR games. They are not full-fledged studio games though, but still they are something that I do for passion. And I also play guitar for my band, and I recently made an experience in which you can play different instruments in WebXR. So the link for the workshop is in the official YouTube channel of Wonderland Engine. Feel free to check it out. So without any further ado, let's get straight into how we can embed virtual computers in WebXR. If we need to understand how we can integrate virtual computers into WebXR, we need to know first of all what is WebXR. So as the name explains itself, WebXR is basically AR and VR on the web. So it was actually a brain explode moment for me when I discovered that AR and VR is possible within the web. I mean, AR and VR itself is a pretty cool technology. I mean, I still remember when I tried it first when I was back in my college. A friend of mine kind of gave me a mobile headset in which we can put our mobile phone inside the headset and we can have a 360 experience. We can just look around and we can shoot some ducks and all. So that kind of stuff was super amazing for me, even though it was 3D OF. And then after some time I was further exploded with the 6D OF headsets. But anyway, the mobile headset were my start. So the development seemed so hard at the time for VR and AR, but VR and AR for web, it seemed pretty easy for me. So that's why I started on with. And I actually started with Unity. I mean, with all due respect, I think it's the worst possible thing that I could try on the beginning for WebXR. I mean, it do have a good library which is made by dpanda to export WebXR experiences into web itself. So recently, I think there's also another tool called Needle Engine, but back in the time it was not there. But anyway, like what I was trying to do was to I have a Unity experience already with me, so I wanted to export it. So without doing any kind of optimization, I tried to export it. It was around 1 GB or something, and the packaging took almost like 2-3 hours. So each time I need to make a change, it was like I'm going to this iteration, and the loading time was so bad. So that's when I realized the importance of optimizing stuff for web or WebXR. Then first thing that I tried was A-frame. It was pretty user friendly for me. Also, it's also a good option if you are new to all this WebXR stuff, and it also do have a minimal amount of coding. Just to mention, A-frame is a wrapper on top of Three.js, which means you can do whatever it's possible in A-frame in Three.js as well. And but these all stuff only we need to code it, despite it's different despite the difference in their simplicity. But if you want to go to a editor kind of setup, then you could try out this Babylon.js or play Canvas, which is also pretty good solutions. But the thing that I came across after trying out Unity was Wonderland Engine, and I suddenly fell in love with it, mostly because of the cool community around it. Back at the time, they were so supportive with me. So, and it's super cool, by the way. I mean, it's super optimized, which means you can just click some tick boxes and you can compress your 3D models. And it also have some cool techniques such as texture streaming, and what else? I think meshlets is also coming, but it's kind of still an experiment. But anyway, they are still currently actively working on a lot of cool stuff to optimize for the web, and it builds faster. I mean, you can just package it in just less than 1 second, and it just runs. And it's cross-device. I mean, it's a generic specification of the web. I mean, it works on all the devices, PC, mobile, or any VR headsets. It works just out of the box. So yeah, that's the reason why I decided to stick with Wonderland Engine, and I'm currently working at Wonderland Engine, so you could take it with a grain of salt. But anyway, today we are going to be using Wonderland Engine for doing this virtual machine integration, WebXR. So moving on, yeah, we are also going to be just having a glimpse at what solutions do we have for having a shared experience or multiplayer experience or metaverse in WebXR. So we have this Coliseus, which is used by a lot of people in the community. I also think we have some examples out there in Discord somewhere. And this is also used by the Robot Valley, a game that's made by Sesame Market, I guess, which you need to check it out, which works pretty cool. And it works well, yeah. So it's a pretty good library. They're basically a multiplayer service, Elysius. Then we have this Croquet, which is quite recent, and our CEO has recently made a integration of Croquet over weekend, and it's also worth checking out. And the next thing, which is pretty secret, you have to promise me you don't tell anyone. Wonderland Engine is also coming up with a multiplayer service in which we can make a multiplayer service for the WebXR experience, which works pretty well because we have tested it on a offsite that we had at Austria. we had that some kind of like a moonshot projects at that time, and we tried this multiplayer code, and it worked well for 4 or 5 peoples back then. So yeah, then we have the next option, which is most affordable option that we have here, which is Peer.js, which is basically free. The rest of the solutions that I mentioned earlier, they are quite free, I guess. But if you want to scale, then it might they might charge. But with Peer.js, it's basically free because it's an open library. So with Peer.js, we can have decentralized multiplayer experience. All of the other experience was centralized, which means we have to set up a central server, but this thing is decentralized. We don't need to set up a server. It kind of works like if I host, I become the server, and if people connecting, then people send data to me, and so and works that way in a decentralized manner. So why we are discussing about shared experiences in a presentation which talks about virtual machine? Because they two go together well. I mean, if we are in a shared or multiplayer experiences, that's the best place that we can put some virtual machines into, because that way we can tap into a lot of other use cases which we're going to be discussing later. So yeah, next question. Why embed virtual computers in WebXR? So let's discuss. So this is a glimpse of how it will look like if we integrate a virtual machine into WebXR. So as you can see, there is a flat screen in front of you. So it's basically not screen sharing. So it's a actually present physical virtual computer. So you can interact with it, you can do stuff. So since it is shared, all other people who is in the room can control it. So this experience right here is something that I made. It's called tvroom.in. So you can check it out at tvroom.in. So I will just mention how you can get right away, because otherwise I will forget it. So if you go to tvroom.in !, and you can host any room that you want, then you can put hashtag, then you can type the room code, any room code that you want. I will just type WebXR or something, and I click here. So it will spawn up I will open another browser instance for the demo, and I will copy the same URL, but this time I will just paste instead of host, I will just type the hashtag, the room code. So here if I can change my name, something like I'm cool host or something, I don't know. Then I can change my avatar, and when I join this thing, as you can see, we have a virtual machine, virtual browser instance here, and I also already hosted a instance with ID WebXR. So when someone joins the experience, you can see people can see each other, and both can, not both, only the host can control the virtual machine. So I'm just gonna close it now, because I'm getting quite feedback in my mic and earphone. But anyway, you get the idea of how this stuff work. So it uses the Peer.js component that I said earlier, which is also made by a person in the community, Florian or Strial. So you can find it here in github/Strial/WLA networking. So you can integrate the Hyperbeam component that I'm going to show you later into this cool, super cool project. to have the experience similar to what I showed you now. So let us go back to the presentation. So this is one of the use cases that I mentioned, that is having a virtual presentation or conference within WebXR. So this is a multiplayer experience. We can share stuff and we can also control stuff on the go. So the next use case is immersive browsing. So imagine if you are in a WebXR multiplayer experience, you found someone and they ask you about something, anything, and you don't know about it, or you just want to check out the profile of the person sitting next to you, but you cannot. So the one thing that most of people do is they open or post the WebEx or whatever experience that is to open a browser instance within their headset. They go search and come back. But what happens is, like when we do that, they will be froze in the screen on the experience. The flow of the experience is gone. Or some people will just put down the headset and go and check in the mobile phone and they come back. But all these cases, the flow of the experience is gone. But that's why the immersive browsing is so powerful. So imagine like you are in the same situation. People, they kind of they say something like arigato in Japanese. You don't know the meaning, so you can just tap on your watch and you can spawn up a browser instance. You can search what's the meaning of arigato, then you can find the answer, then you say, oh, that's what it is. So you don't break out of the experience, you are within the experience without losing the flow. So that's one of the cool use cases of having a virtual browser inside the WebXR, that is immersive browsing. The next thing is collaboration. So remember when I said this stuff is not screen sharing, this is basically a virtual computer. So with this thing, multiple people can access the same browser, which means we could do some cool stuff like how to play Pictionary. So if we open a painting app, painting web app or something in our browser, virtual browser, then multiple people can draw on the same canvas, which means we can use that shared canvas to play just like Pictionary. So this browser instances are shared by nature. We don't need to do anything additional to set up the multiplayer aspect of the browser. But if you want to interact with people, then we need to set up a multiplayer experience solution, which I discussed earlier. But for the browser is multiplayer in its essence. So the next step is education. So you might see this screen and think like this is kind of like misleading, but no, it's not. Let me explain you why. So when you think of a virtual computer instance inside WebXR, what you might think is it's just a flat screen, but it could be more than a flat screen if we use it right, because we have this two-way communication to the browser. That means we can also give data to the browser and also get data from the browser. So imagine if you go to Sketchfab and download some 3D models, then we can get the URL of the GLB, which we can use to embed the 3D model into our WebXR experience seamlessly. So which means we can extract 3D or any media from the virtual browser into our WebXR experience, which is quite powerful in my opinion. So which makes it quite a good candidate for doing educational stuff within WebXR. And the next, we have this honorary mention from Yoster, a community member at Hyperbeam. So he has made an experience in which we can, the flat screen actually shows an itch.io game. So he's playing the game through basic raycasting, which is integrated into the component. So yeah, it's cool. It's one of the cool use cases. I mean, it's also multiplayer, which means multiple people can join in and they can play the same game together. Anything that we can play within a browser, we can play within the WebXR experience as well. So, yep. With that, let's move on to what are the VR streaming services that is available to us now. So first we have Plutosphere. Plutosphere, they basically stream the VR content into our headsets via web. So it's not actually sharing or streaming content into a flat screen. It's intended to be sharing stuff as a stream of 360 video or basically an experience. But still, I wanted to mention it here because it's one of the dominant VR streaming services out there. Then we have Hyperbeam, which is basically service that we are going to be using today, and this is the only usable solution that I could find till now to have a virtual computer inside WebXR. It basically embeds a virtual browser inside our WebXR or any 3D experience, in fact. So yeah, then we have other mentions such as Amazon Workspaces, Google Cloud. Although they provide us with virtual machines in which we can access the Windows or any OS inside the VM within the web, actually it doesn't give us the flexibility to use it within WebXR because of how it is set up. Because we need to do some tweakings in the OS to have a proper access to the virtual machine, so which is currently not that much easier with VR headsets. So that's why we're going to be sticking with Hyperbeam for today. So let's move on and let's get some hands-on and let's look how we can create a virtual computer from scratch. So I have made this integration project where you can find the resources in github/nsdcg/wle-hyperbeam. So you can skip this part if you want. I mean, if you can do it yourself, just do it. But I'm gonna be just showing you how we can do it. So you can go to this link here, then you can download the project by downloading the zip or git clone it if you know it how to. And after you download the project, you can extract the project, and then you will get something like this. So the first thing that you need to do is to open the folder, type in cmd on the top navbar to open a console in the folder. Then you need to do npm i. So what this does is basically it downloads all the node dependencies that is required for this to work, which is basically Hyperbeam component, Hyperbeam web component, and also all the Wonderland Engine components. So if you haven't done already, just go to wonderlandengine.com and sign in, then go to downloads and download the Wonderland Engine for free. And after downloading the Wonderland Engine, you can open the experience by double clicking on wle-hyperbeam.wlb. Which will open up your Wonderland experience. So after it's opened, just click on the display, then go to Hyperbeam component. We have the API key here. So we're going to be pasting the API key from the Hyperbeam. So how we can do that? So let's go back to the browser and go to Hyperbeam, and you have to log in and just type in the URL. I mean hyperbeam.com/dashboard. Then you will be redirected to this exact same page. I have refreshed. So you can find two type of keys here. One is test key and the other thing is production key. So with production key, you can use up to 10 different unique computers. Okay, so let's come back to the Wonderland Engine and look how we can spawn different computer instance. So here there's something like called tag value. So we can change this tag value here or programmatically to have a different computer instance. So with the same API key, we can spawn multiple rooms with multiple names, which we provide here. we can also change this programmatically, or this component here. So I'm not gonna click reveal. So you can either copy the production key or test key. With the test key, you get unlimited minutes, which basically means you get free virtual computers, 2 virtual computers for free for all the time. So you can use this keys if you only need to spawn up to 2 virtual machines. It's basically unlimited. And if you want to scale it up to 10, you can use the production key. And if you want to have more than 10, you can contact their Hyperbeam to have different plans. So copy this. I'm just going to post the recording now so that I can copy without you guys looking. Okay, so copy the API key and come back to the Wonderland Engine and paste the API key here. Then just press on package and start server. Also, don't forget to save the experience by doing Ctrl S and minimize it. Yeah. So now we come back to the browser. You should be able to see you are able to see a virtual browser instance which detects mouse movements and also key inputs. Like I can type Wonderland Engine, click enter, then I can see the results and open the link. And even if you can go to YouTube and just chill to some music. So basically you can do whatever it's possible within the realm of the web. And the interesting thing is this is okay.
Searching for a new Kia? The search.
Okay, let me. Okay, so if you yeah, so what I'm actually doing here is I'm trying to demonstrate you how it works within AR VR context. So if we click the VR button, we'll enter VR and it still works. So you can use your controller to hover over the virtual computer, just like how you do with the mouse, and things works. So yeah, it also works with AR as well. I mean, you can do it in your virtual space or your actual physical space. If you have a MetaQuest 3, then you can just play whatever you want within web. So yeah, hooray, here we are. We have successfully integrated a virtual machine inside WebXR. So like I said earlier, you can combine this stuff with this multiplayer solution such as Peer.js to have a multiplayer experience in which we have a shared virtual browser, which is exactly the thing that I did with TV Room. So the next thing, like, how do we share this experience? I mean, I have made this stuff, which is cool, so I want to share it. So basically, if you go to the editor, and if you right click on the folder, any folder, show in folder, you can find a folder called deploy. So basically whatever you need to deploy is inside this folder. So you can drag drop this folder into any of your hosting servers and it will host the experience for you. So one of the most one of the services that I use most is called Netlify. I like it because it's kind of user friendly. I mean, it's very user friendly. I mean, let's look how it works. If you sign into Netlify, you click on add new site, deploy manually, and you drag drop the deploy folder, and that's it. After a few seconds, it will create a website for you. So you can open the website by clicking on somewhere here. Where is the link? Wait a second. So it's in deploy. So go to site overview, then site configurations. Yeah, here we can see we have an ugly site name. So let's change the site name to something like Hyperbeam. Is it already taken? Yeah, it's already taken. So Hyperbeam WLE or something like that. So after we change the name, we can click on the link here. So here we have hyperbeam.netlify.app. So you can share this experience with anyone, and if they open the link as well, they will also be seeing the same screen as you are seeing. So it can be used for watch party or any other use cases that I mentioned earlier. So this is much easier to share experience that we make with Wonderland Engine. So yeah, with that, let's go back to the presentation and let's look what we have missed. So yep, we have created a virtual computer successfully. Then let us move on to the challenges. What kind of challenges do we have here? So first thing is security. I mean, if you have an experience and if we sign into it, maybe if we sign into Google services or whatever, maybe Instagram, Facebook, whatever, if you just sign into something, then keep in mind that everyone who has access to the same browser instance will have access to your credentials as well. So make sure that who has the actual admin rights. Okay, so otherwise it's gonna be a mess handling the security. So we have to be extra careful when doing this kind of experience, especially with the authentication and all. And also this API key, it's currently exposed right now because the example is just basically a prototype. So you can modify it so that you pass the API key via environment variable through your hosting providers, which that way the API keys are more, safe and sound. And the next step is performance. I mean, I hate to break it to you, but it takes up a little bit of performance. I mean, a little bit of CPU memory. So it's basically streaming stuff right into your WebXR experience. So the more the quality, lesser the performance, as obviously. So keep in mind to optimize your experience or the streaming so that you have the maximum and optimal performance. The other thing is the thing that I mentioned earlier, I guess, the keyboard inputs. So currently Oculus Quest doesn't have, not Oculus Quest, WebXR doesn't have an actual standard for having a virtual keyboard. So it's quite hard to operate this keyboard input across all devices. We might have to do some custom keyboard inputs for the Oculus Quest as of now, or any other VR headsets as of now. But it might change in the future. It will become a standard to have a common keyboard gamepad API or something like that. So with that challenges in mind, let's move on to the best practices. So like I said earlier, resolution affects performance. So keep in mind to use a minimum resolution. I mean 1080 resolution seems fine, and also 23 fps is also works good for me. So keep or adjust your resolution up to so that it corresponds to the performance that you're looking for. The next thing is ensure the admin controls. I can emphasize more in order for you to become secure in your shared experience. You have to reinforce admin controls. I mean, with Hyperbeam also comes with two layers of authentication. Like we can enable admin tokens in which we can use, so that only the people with admin tokens can have access to the virtual computer. That way it adds a more layer to the security. So anyway, ensure that only people who are intended to control the experience is controlling the experience. Then the other thing is, even though you are inside this bubble, you're still using the web. So use the web responsibly. Abide to the guidelines of the websites and respect their policies and all. So with this best practices in mind, I'm gonna be ending this session now. Thank you. So you can ask any kind of question that you want later on. So thank you for listening to the session. Bye bye.